Hi, my name is Camille Gleason, and my topic was on Freemasonry and the relationship with the endowment ceremony and just how they kind of relate and they differentiate from each other. This is from Unit 10 in Nauvoo, and it just kind of has to deal with Joseph Smith and the Nauvoo Temple and stuff like that. So my two short scholarly articles were Stephen Harper and the Freemasonry of the Latter-day Saint Temple and the Endowment Ceremony, and then the other one was by John Key, Freemasonry and the Origins of the Modern Temple Ordinances. It was super hard to just choose one quote because they were all so awesome and they were super interesting. So the Harper article, it says both involve rituals, but the purposes of the rituals distinguish them from each other. The Latter-day Saint endowment prepares women and men to return to the presence of God. Masonry encourages men to be circumspect and to build relationships with fellow Masons. Masonic rituals use aprons, door knockings, and unusual handshakes to foster brotherhood. Bonds are made between men and not between God. So one of the main differences between Freemasonry and the LDS endowment is that our endowment is made between us and God and people and God, and Masonic rituals are just between each other, not between God. So the G article, it says, in America, Freemasonry, excuse me, enjoyed rapid growth, especially in some periods of the 19th century, attracting a large number of citizens from all walks of life. Joseph Smith's first encounters with Freemasonry occurred long before he came to Nauvoo. Indeed, it may be said that the prophet, like many Americans of his era, grew up around Masonry. The rituals of the lodge, and the lodge is right here on the right, enabled Mormon Masons to become familiar with symbols and forms they would later encounter in the Nauvoo Temple. Freemasonry, in contrast to Latter-day Saint Temple ordinances, does not claim saving power for its rites. Threads relating to biblical themes of exaltation are evident in some Masonic rituals. Um, so yeah, just like before, again, the Nauvoo Temple is different in ordinances, but it's still kind of related to Freemasonry because of the rituals that happen. But the differences are that it's eternal, right, in the temple, and that in Masonic rituals, it's not. They're just kind of doing rituals. So my two prophetic articles were from Russell M. Nelson in the preparation for the temple, and then the other one was by President Gordon B. Hinckley in the Salt Lake Temple. I didn't find any talks specifically by prophets and elders that specifically talked about Freemasonry, but this just kind of has to do with the temple and how it compares. So the Russell M. Nelson quote, it says, in the temple we receive an endowment, which is, literally speaking, a gift. In receiving this gift, we should understand its significance and the importance of keeping sacred covenants. Each temple ordinances is not just a ritual to go through, it is an act of solemn promising. So our ritual and our ordinances are promising, whereas others are not. So the Gordon B. Hinckley quote, it says, inside the temple, the world is left behind with its clamor and rush. In the house of the Lord, there is tranquility. Those who serve here know that they are dealing with the matters of eternity. All dressed in white, speech is subdued, thoughts are elevated. This is a sanctuary of service. Most of the work done in the sacred house is performed vicariously in behalf of those who have passed beyond the veil of death. I know of no other work to compare it with. It more nearly approaches the vicarious sacrifice of the Son of God in behalf of all mankind than any other work which I am aware. So yeah, in the temple, this is eternity, and it's a service that we do for like baptisms of the dead and stuff like that. And at Freemason and the Mason religion, you don't really get that. My DNC verses, they were all from 124, just because it talks really well about the Nauvoo temple. So this is 38 in 124 of D&C, and it says, for this cause I commanded Moses that he should build a tabernacle, that they should bear with them in the wilderness, and to build a house in the land of promise, that those ordinances might be revealed which had been hid before the world was. 39. Therefore, verily I say unto you that your anointings and your washings, and your baptisms for the dead, and your solemn assemblies, and your memorials for your sacrifices by the sons of Levi, and for your oracles, and your most holy places wherein you receive conversations, and your statutes and judgments, for the beginning of revelations and the foundation of Zion, and for the glory, honor, and endowment of all municipals, are ordained by the ordinance of my holy house, which my people are always commanded to build in my holy name. And these are sacred, right? They're kept from the world, whereas Freemasons, it's not. It's kind of everybody can go in and do it, but these are super sacred. And again, we can't really talk about what's in the temple and the endowment. So this is verse 41, my second one. It says, for I deign to reveal unto my church things which have been kept hid from before the foundation of the world, things that pertain the dispensation of the fullness of times. And that's kind of what you get in the temple in the endowment ceremony, which again, we can't really speak of outside of the temple. So in the Joseph Smith paper, the quote is, "They were there with carriages, therefore be aware of the Freemasons, this from yours and see." So this is just saying, yeah, be aware, just because the Freemasons, although they might be similar, they're not, they're very different as far as our rituals go and stuff like that. So my summary concepts, number one was symbolism are in our temples and in our garments and in our rituals. So we still have symbolism in our temples, right, and in our garments, and we learn more about that as we go through the endowment ceremony. It's connected with God. Freemasons, they use symbols without knowing their divinely inspired purpose. So they use those symbols and those rituals, but those aren't for eternity. Those aren't, they're not really connected, and they don't really know why they're doing it. So my personal and church application: Freemasons were instrumental in the founding of the United States of America, and the symbolism they used is still evident on everything from national monuments to American currency. The religious freedom instituted in the founding of the USA made possible the restoration of the gospel, right? So I mean, we've had Freemason in the Freemason religion and what they do, and we kind of got our rituals from them, and Joseph Smith kind of built off of that. Obviously, there's more to our ordinances in the temple, but the second one is ritual and symbolism used by Freemasons. Parallel ritual and symbolism used in the temple ordinances restored by Joseph Smith, who's also a Freemason. So yeah, he knew people that were Freemasons, and he knew the rituals, and people were kind of familiar with those rituals from the Freemasons to the temple. And so that's kind of how it obviously has to do with our LDS Church and some history of that. And here are just some other links I found helpful. So thanks.